This past weekend, the first ever Politicon, politics version of Comic-Con, was held at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Part panel and debate session and part political art exhibit, I went looking for more footage for my documentary The Other Side and hoping to find new kinds of interesting and thoughtful conversations. I did not find those new, interesting, and thoughtful conversations in Michelle Bachmann Explains It All with John Avalon.
If there's anything that the last 100 years of history has taught us, it's this. When a madman speaks, listen. Say that to 6 million Jews that Hitler annihilated, or to Mao Zedong, or to Stalin. These are butchers of the world.
Let's rein in the Hitler comparisons just for the sake of decorum here.
Say that to 6 million Jews who lost their lives.
The point is, we can do Godwin's law all day long, but let's get careful about when we start invoking Hitler in contemporary political debates. You know what you're doing. Don't do it. Let me ask you this.
Couldn't stand much more than 5 minutes. Breitbart's The Hollywood Wars was much better. I disagree almost 100% with Breitbart politics, but at least I witnessed some critical thought.
The difference is that when it came to Passion of the Christ, one of the reasons that people went to see it is because the resistance from the left was so strong that every religious Christian in the country felt the moral obligation to go see it 3 times for Jesus, and which is fine. And really, I mean, like, I'm happy that the movie did extremely well because I want a religious revival to happen in the country.
The screening of The Runner-Up, the story of the American Idol guy Clay Aiken running as a Democrat for Congress in North Carolina, was also interesting because you see him speaking at a Tea Party meeting and struggling with how to present his views on gay marriage. IVN hosted a great session called Outside the Partisan Narrative, From Journalism to Elections, with California Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, Greg Orman, who ran as an independent for Pat Roberts' Senate seat in Kansas and almost won, Elizabeth Jaff, political director at CrowdPac, and Chad Peace, attorney for the Independent Voter Project and managing editor of IVN.us. Now, Assemblywoman Gonzalez may have felt a bit like a fish out of water.
I'm going to argue a little differently. I mean, I'm highly partisan, unlike most people on this panel.
You're an equal opportunity panel.
I'm a solid Democrat.
But she had plenty to be happy about. During the session, Jerry Brown signed into law a bill she had authored, creating automatic voter registration through the DMV.
So first of all, I'm not this obsessed with my phone, but what happens when your bill is on the governor's desk is you get a phone call a little bit before they announce whether they sign or veto it, and so we know by we're really down to the wire, so we expect today to get a phone call, and I think it's usually from a number you don't recognize, and I think I might have just missed it. Stop. 1 second, sorry. He did sign it. Woo! Signed it. So it's a term on Twitter. So yay, I'm on mass registration in California. Sorry, but you know, they're trying to like people are chasing me.
There's something there's something awfully cool and timely about something like that happening.
As for the rest of the panel, I was particularly struck by many of the things Greg Orman had to say.
There's all sorts of evidence that suggests that voters who have decided to become partisans are more interested in supporting their team than they are in the underlying policies.
I caught up with him afterwards.
The problem is the parties like to divide. They like to lead us to believe that we have only 2 choices. We can either have a secure border or we can have a humane immigration policy. They want us to believe we can either have high quality or affordable health care. They want us to believe that we can either have schools that work or teachers' unions. But the reality is there's ways to bring together the needs of both sides in a policy prescription that actually moves our country forward, but that's not how you win elections. You don't win elections by talking about the ways we move forward. You win elections by dividing people.
I also caught up with TJ O'Hara, an IVN contributor and a former independent presidential candidate.
But you look for a more balanced approach, and then vet it yourself and say, what part of this makes sense?
What if you've got, I don't know, a working class family that they don't have time to like vet the sources and they just need to go to one place where they can trust that this is a nonpartisan, like just the facts man kind of thing. Are there any, does that exist, or are there people that are good at that sometimes? Or
I think there are vehicles for that. Independent Voter Network, for example, IVN.us, allows all sides to vet themselves. And the articles are good. The comments are even more interesting. Take the time to read the comments. They tend to be much shorter than an article, and you'll get wildly diverse opinions, and in that particular forum, they tend to be very, very respectful.
Now, an interesting thing about Politicon was that there were a lot of young people there. They gave free tickets to students, and there were lots of sessions geared towards millennials, by far the most popular of which was when Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks went one-on-one with Ann Coulter.
There's a quote, I think the government should be spying on all Arabs, engaging in torture as a televised spectator sport, dropping daisy cutters wantonly throughout the Middle East, and sending liberals to Guantanamo. Right. So let's dive into the motivations of that. Is that exactly what you actually believe? Is that a joke? Hence, are you a comedian? Can you tell us a joke now? No, but in all seriousness, what's the motivation there?
Look, there are a lot of writing techniques. I feel like I'm an English teacher. Whenever people fixate on this line or that line, and I have to explain what hyperbole is and what understatement is, and this is a surprise. I don't think I should stir the pot only because that sounds like a cliche, but I would say I can write in a way that will not only entertain my readers, but entertain me. I was a huge supporter of the Iraq War. I'm angrier at Obama for destroying our victory there than I am at Iraq.
I disagreed with Obama on sending more troops to Afghanistan. Hey, we found agreement. You see that? Politicon is working.
I sat down with Cenk afterwards.
I want to get the Tea Party and a really progressive group in the same room and have them talk to each other rather than yell at each other, right? And so I want them to genuinely listen to the other side. And then I want them to do exercises together. I want them to split up the teams and then compete with one another, but not just against each other, but mixed teams, right? So I don't want to sensationalize it like most of TV does, right? But I do want to find out if there's something sensational that comes out of it. And so I love listening to the other side.
All in all, I was impressed with Politicon. There was some of the same old partisan politics, but there was a new energy too. New conversations, fresh ideas, art, expression, young people. Entertainment democracy, huh? Not bad, Politicon. Not bad.